Alright, so the last vote confirmed what I knew. I mentioned it before and I'll sort of say it again. I'm in control of the game up until now. Will that be true tomorrow? I don't know. But it is true today. And it's got me thinking about where I am and where everybody else is. Who else believes they have control? Does anyone? Because if they don't, they start vying for it. And if you're vying for control, well, it would certainly make sense to go for the person who has it. So who wants to change their position? Clearly it's Haschel. Haschel's in trouble, and Haschel knows it. He has literally no legs of his table left, except for potentially me, and I have just proven to him I am not reliable. Not to Haschel, anyway. So where does he go? Drake? I think Drake is exactly where she'd like to be, and will continue to go along how she has been, unless she wants to start making the play. And maybe she could. I don't know her well enough to comment. Jose is still a mystery. If there is any support for Haschel left outside of myself, it's Jose. Now the question is, how much are those two talking, Jose and Haschel? If they both want to win, and I suspect they do, they probably need to know that they've got to go after me. But 2 out of 7 is not 4 out of 7. So how do they find their other votes? They probably go to Chaos, who is playing the game, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was willing to make a move. Okay, so now there's 3. Where do you find your 4th? That's where Merc comes in as incredibly valuable right now. So the game has changed a lot for me. I started off this game with Taste, whose name, if you've been following along, should not surprise you. I will never write down. Certainly not going to write down Taste's name, really ever, unless it may be for the end, when Taste is at the final tribal and I'm in the jury. That could happen. He still has some work to do to earn that. But what about Merc? So Merc and I have been talking more openly, and I believe see the same exact path to the end. We want this 4, the Mafia 4, to work. And I believe we're the only two who desperately do want it to work. And so we are doing what we can to make it work. But we both know that we want it more than the other 2 members. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we keep that chat going, but we keep a weather out eye while we're doing it. Because I just can't trust either of them to go for that group's interest. To be frank, if Taste does want a shot at my vote, he will have to go against the group's interest, and he will have to come out ahead if he wants my vote at the end, because I need to see him pull off something successful. Jose, I think he still wants to win, and I think he knows that I'm a threat. So I just don't know when it happens, but something's going to give. And so Merc and I just have to keep, again, a close eye on things. The funny thing is, I think Merc has now not joined my final 2. You can't obviously have more legitimate final 2s than just one. But I ain't writing Merc's name down. That's not going to happen. The only way it does is if we are at final 4 and someone else has immunity and the other option is Taste. That's it. It's the only way. And I can't see anything else, because at this point I'd like to sit next to Merc quite a bit. So we're just dealing with a lot of volatility here in a situation that should be easy. Haschel is reaching out to the dad chat, which now consists, as it did originally, of myself, Jose, and Merc, because he's looking for an angle. I don't envy the position Haschel is in right now. If I ever found myself in that position, I would be really anxious and neurotic, knowing that essentially I have no power, and though I wouldn't want to be there myself, that is exactly where I wanted him, because Haschel and his capacity to cause mischief is greatly diminished, but his interest in causing mischief has increased because he needs to. In order for Haschel to make it to the end, he has got to start doing some shit, and he will. He'll try. How effectively it works, I don't know. So what's my path to the end? I wish I could say that it was the Mafia 4. Part of me thinks that that would be really reliable, really predictable, but that also doesn't make for a very interesting game, and I like for an interesting game. So, I would say that the most simple, easy way would be for the four to stay together. We vote off either Haschel or Drake today, the other one tomorrow. That leaves Chaos, and then maybe Chaos finds a way to win immunity or something and makes it a little interesting. But I don't know about 4, but I do know 5, and I'm pretty sure the next 2 to go, if everything is predictable and simple, are Haschel and Drake. I just don't know if that's going to hold. I just wish I had started with Merc. I would have liked to have worked with Merc the way we're working now for the whole game. I have made such a good friend in Taste, and I really do like him, but the fact that I had to go and blindside him is something I really wish I didn't have to do. I wish that there was a way for us to more, in our own control, distance ourselves from one another. I think had I been working with Merc, that might have been possible, but then again, he's such a goddamn rigid player who's so beholden to honesty that that might have been difficult too. No real telling there. And as far as making a pitch to the end, don't think I'm not going to remember that essentially Merc wanted to play a very clean and honest game, but Survivor isn't clean and honest, and if you make it to the end and you were clean and honest, that means someone else was doing your dirty work for you. And I'm going to remember that point. So, kind of where my head's at. The more interesting and less stable pathway is figuring out where Haschel's at and following along with him and his interests. I think that there is a good reason to vote Drake out next, because that does put Haschel in a position where he might feel a little more secure. And a secure Haschel is a Haschel that's not causing nearly as much trouble. What capacity for trouble does he have? It ain't much, but you know, you say the weird wrong thing at Tribal, he's already shown what he can do. You know, he made a move and Taste balked and blew his idol. That was a great play. It was a great play. He got one on Taste. So the safer he feels, the less likely he is to pull shit. So I think I want Drake gone next. Which, by the way, then removes the last player with whom I'd have a real trouble voting at the end for, despite liking Drake just fine. Really hard time to vote for Drake, just not enough movement. So at that point, everyone left is someone I'm happy to see win, which is cool, and I like that a lot. So it's kind of a win-win, and I'm hoping, I guess, that Drake goes next, and then it's Haschel or Chaos, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know if this is going to be a final 3 or a final 2. I don't think anybody here in the game is praying for a final 2 right now. Would a final 2 be nice? Once you get there, sure, but you got to get there, and I'm very, very interested in talking to the jury. I'm a lot more interested in that, I think, than almost playing the rest of this game. I want to make it the final Tribal at this point. So, we'll see. The last remaining question is what happens with my idol, and when do I play it? And, you know, the truth is I play it when I think I need to, of course. When will I need to? Seems unlikely to play it now. I don't know how you find 4 votes on me. It's possible, but you'd have to basically blindside both Taste and Merc and myself to pull it off. And with Drake out there, I don't really see it. I don't really see how you put the 4 players on one side and 3 on another in this game at this point. I don't think it happens. So I don't think I'm playing it today, which leaves 6. 6, we're kind of talking about the same situation. In that case, though, it does help me to have Drake around more so than Haschel. Drake is much less likely to go after me. Haschel would cut me in a second if he could, and I wouldn't blame him for it. So for my game, keeping Drake around until Thursday's Tribal kind of stabilizes things for me. At which point, I've got an idol at 5, which I either then use or toss in the fire as kind of a flex. I don't think I'm ever going to toss an idol in the fire as a flex. That's just not going to happen. I'm playing it. To me, playing an idol that doesn't need usage is fine. I don't need to flex. So I will most likely play it at 5, I guess. Unless I get a whiff of something. But so far, all I'm smelling is fresh air.